The crowd inside the AGT studio buzzed with excitement as the next contestant stepped into the light, a slim Filipino man in his early 30s named Elijah Reyes, holding an old, worn-out guitar whose faded wood seemed to shimmer with stories of its own. Nobody knew him, yet the moment he appeared, something about his quiet smile softened the room. Elijah wasn't there for fame, he wasn't even sure he belonged on a stage this big. He had flown to America not to chase stardom, but to work double shifts as a caregiver so he could send money home to his mother in Quezon Province, who had fallen seriously ill. The audition was never part of the plan, not until the elderly man he cared for, Mr. Thompson, persuaded him with a trembling hand on his wrist, saying, "Son, the world needs to hear that voice. Don't hide a blessing." As Elijah walked to the center of the stage, he carried that encouragement with him, along with every sacrifice he had made since arriving in the States. When Simon Cowell asked what brought him there, Elijah didn't talk about dreams or destiny, he simply said, "I want to honor the people who believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself." The audience fell silent. Then, with a deep breath, he began singing Elvis Presley's "Can't Help Falling in Love." But it wasn't the flashy kind of performance viewers were used to. Elijah's voice was soft at first, trembling like a secret whispered through the strings of his guitar. Then, as he closed his eyes, something changed. Every ounce of longing he carried, every hour spent alone in a small rented room counting the days until he could send more money home, every memory of singing Elvis songs beside his mother's rice cooker, he poured it all into the song. And that's when it happened, Simon's jaw literally dropped. The audience stared as Elijah's voice soared with a soulful depth that felt like it could mend anything broken. People wiped their tears, even the backstage crew paused to listen. Halfway through the performance, an unexpected shift occurred. The giant screen behind Elijah flickered to life, showing Mr. Thompson, frail, smiling, watching from his hospital bed. Elijah didn't know it was planned, one of the producers had done it after overhearing how much the old man meant to him. Seeing the man who had encouraged him lit a fire in Elijah's voice so powerful, so heartbreakingly sincere, that the studio felt suspended in time. When he sang the final line, "Take my whole life too," it wasn't just a lyric, it was a promise to everyone he loved, near or far. The moment the song ended, the room stayed still, as if everyone needed a heartbeat to return to earth. Then the entire audience erupted to their feet. But while the applause shook the studio, Elijah kept his eyes fixed on Simon, unsure of what would happen next. Simon leaned forward, his voice unusually soft as he said, "Elijah, that wasn't just singing. That was heart. That was humanity." And then Simon did something he rarely did, he stood up. Slowly, deliberately, he pressed the golden buzzer. Golden confetti exploded from above, swirling around Elijah like a storm of blessings he never thought he'd receive. Elijah covered his face, overcome with emotion, while backstage Terry Crews shouted over the noise, "This is what AGT is all about." But the most unexpected moment came when Elijah, still shaking, noticed Mr. Thompson being wheeled into the studio by a nurse. The producers had arranged the surprise after seeing how much Elijah's story meant to him. As the old man reached him, Elijah dropped to his knees and hugged him tightly. Mr. Thompson whispered, "You gave me one more miracle to see." That sentence broke even the toughest hearts in the room. And in that moment, Elijah realized something he had forgotten along the long, lonely road: kindness doesn't disappear, it circles back, often when you need it most. His journey hadn't been about winning a show. It had been about the people who believed in him, the sacrifices made out of love, and the courage to share a gift that wasn't meant to be hidden. As the cameras captured the emotional embrace, the audience felt something rare: hope. A reminder that even in a world full of noise and division, a single act of encouragement, a single voice filled with truth, can bring people together. And as Elijah walked off the stage, still shimmering with gold confetti, he carried with him not just a dream fulfilled, but a message that echoed far beyond the studio walls: when kindness lifts you, you are never performing alone.